bow your heads. Almighty God, praise to you who made the universe with all its marvelous order. Please watch over us each and every day. Be present with us at home, in the community, at work, and at school. Grant us wisdom, understanding, and perseverance so that we may be successful in all that we do. Lord, please be with Bella, Andrew, Aaliyah, Kendall, Matthew, Noah, Bailey, Emma, and Verona. Give them strength, courage, and confidence as they deliver their speech. Lord, also help us to be kind to everyone who we are with today. Help us to make new friends and enjoy people who visit our academy. Thank you for the gifts that you have bestowed upon us, especially family, friends, and a very strong education. Protect us, Lord, from all evil and all harm. Help us to live our lives in a way that is pleasing to you so that we may live our lives to the fullest. And finally, help us to honor you by doing the right thing, both in and out of school. And of course, we pray these things in your holy name. Amen. Thank you, Mr. Pauley, for those words. At this time, I'm going to call on Justin Williams, one of our 8th graders, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Justin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Justin. I would like to thank our writing teachers, Mrs. DeJarnette, Mr. Foley. They are the 2 faculty members that listened to every speech that was delivered. 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders. It is a very tedious process. It is a very long process to prepare and then allow you to present. At each one of the grade levels, we have 3 contestants. Each one of our grades has approximately 60 students. So if you divide 3 over 60, if my math is still pretty good, I believe that reduces to about 1/20. 3 into 3 once, 3 into 60, 20 times. And if my math is still good, 1 over 20, when I convert that to a percent, that is 5%. 1/20th, 5%. So the people that you see seated here are in the top 5% of their class with the speech that they are going to present. That's the top 5%. Now, I will have to go on record as saying the other 95% was darn good in the classrooms. And I know these people had a very, very difficult decision to narrow it down to the 3 that would be representing each and every class. So once again, Mrs. DeJarnette, thank you. Mr. Foley, thank you for what you do. And I turn the program over to you at this time.
Give me a second.
It's already
Well,
on.
that button. Yeah, no, I know. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2015 annual Montverde Academy Middle School Speech Contest. We have 9 students, as Mr. Dell had mentioned, presenting their speeches today, and 3 from each grade. It has been quite the rigorous schedule for these students in their writing classes, as they have worked on speech writing, practice, and preparation since the beginning of this quarter back in January.
With a little over 2 weeks to prepare for the speech, the students wrote essays and built their speeches based on the topic provided by the Modern Woodsman of America. This year's topic was an important landmark. The description of the topic reads as follows. The world is full of landmarks that represent historical, aesthetic, or cultural importance. Landmarks tell a story to add to the rich fiber of our world. In big cities, small towns, and even in rugged rural fields, buildings, monuments, and other structures or geographic features are considered landmarks, natural or man-made places of interest that may easily be recognizable or historically significant. Students were asked to tell the story of one landmark and could describe its location and physical characteristics, the history of the landmark itself, and how the landmark impacted or continues to impact people today.
Landmarks may be perceived in both a historical and personal manner. This year, students chose to focus on what made the landmark important to themselves as well as the world. The great thing about this topic is that students have the ability to choose their own topic. These topics were only influenced by faculty members if asked for help. These students are prepared to take each of you on a journey throughout our beautiful and mesmerizing world.
Our speech judges today come from the Toastmasters of Claremont Organization, and their names are Marjorie Benjamin and Gordy Allen. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. It's an honor that you're here, and please give them another round of applause.
Before I introduce our first speaker, I would just like to share some fun facts and statistics that I have found personally about public speaking. Contrary to popular middle school student belief, public speaking is a skill set that will be needed throughout the entirety of each student's life. From the moment they begin participating in these speech contests, to giving their senior speech in front of their peers in the upper school, to giving any presentation in college or a professional field regarding an important topic or case, to giving a toast to their best friend's wedding, and lastly, to giving a retirement speech. Students often do not realize how many times they will likely have to speak in front of a crowd. These speeches are merely a stepping stone to each and every student in this auditorium's future, where they hope to achieve success over and over again. With that said, I would like to give a round of applause to all of you, students, who worked so incredibly hard and gave such tremendous speeches. Thank you. Thank you for all of your hard work, and despite who will be presenting today, you all took the leap and achieved greatness in the classrooms. We can't be more proud of you. Well, without further ado, are we ready? Absolutely.
You need to let the students know what the timings are.
I was about to do it. But if you would like to, you can go ahead.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll be timing your speech. You have 5 minutes. So at 3 minutes, I'll put up the green line, 4 minutes the yellow, and 5 minutes the red. And you have 30 seconds. And this will stay up. And you have 30 seconds to wrap up, but this will continue to stay up. The red is card. Okay? All right.
Thank you for that. All right. Our first speaker of the day is a 7th grade student. This is his first year at Montverde Academy, and he is a part of the Soccer Institute at Montverde, known as SEMA. His favorite class is science, and a fun fact would be that he's been playing soccer since he was 3 years old. Noah Montverde.
Students, when you go up there, take your time. The mic is set just the way you want it. The box is in the podium if you do need it.
What is a landmark? Some people consider landmarks as just historical places, but to me, a landmark is much more. A landmark is something that has personal connection. A landmark shows historical importance. but a landmark also gives meaning to all people that visit it or live near it. The Cologne Cathedral is one landmark that does all of this. The Cologne Cathedral was built during the Gothic age in Cologne, Germany, which at the time was rich in architectural importance. Construction for the Cologne Cathedral began in 1246, but it was not completely finished until 1880 due to certain limiting factors. The Cologne Cathedral stands 516 feet tall. This always has and still does tower over the rest of downtown Cologne. When I was on a train on my way to Amsterdam, this was by far the tallest and most noticeable building that I could see. From 1880 to 1884, the Cologne Cathedral was considered the tallest building in the world, standing at 516 feet tall, which in my opinion is quite amazing. Not only is the Cologne Cathedral's statistics amazing, but its history is also rich. Although hardly believable, the Cologne Cathedral survived extensive bombing and attacks during World War II. At the time, Germany was the center of World War II, and this was in the heart of Germany. Also, after the Germans captured Milan, Italy, long before the World War, the remains of the three magi, or the three kings, were brought to the Cologne Cathedral to be preserved. This adds a bit of mystery to behind the Cologne Cathedral history, because nobody knows how the remains of three people could survive bombs and attacks. I have personal connection with the Cologne Cathedral. I have visited it 2 times, and every time I see it, I learn something new about it. For example, last time that I visited, I learned that there was actually a burial ground beneath the church. Although I was not able to tour the burial ground, I was still amazed just to see it and learn about it. I can also relate to the Cologne Cathedral through religion. The Cologne Cathedral is a Roman Catholic church, and I am also Catholic. The cathedral is where the Archbishop of Cologne does many of his masses, so it helps by giving importance to many of the people that live near it. I actually attended one of the masses that the Archbishop held. This was an important mass because it was the Mass of Easter. Although I could not understand anything that he was saying because it was in German, I still felt connection between every word that he said. The Cologne Cathedral is standing proof that people have the power to finish anything that they have started, even if it takes 600 years to do so and living through a world war. In conclusion, the Cologne Cathedral is a landmark that shows strong personal connection to me, historical importance to the world, and meaning to all of the people that visit it. In my opinion, the Cologne Cathedral is one of the greatest landmarks to ever stand, and I know that if you ever see it or visit it, it would leave you in awe as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. So, if you were here last year during the speech contest, you know that in between the speeches, I like to give some fun facts, and I was going to share some with you now, if that's cool. Is that okay? Okay. Did you know that North Korea uses a fax machine to send threats to South Korea? A fax machine. Did you know that Britney Spears' music was used by the British Navy to scare off Somali pirates? You can't make this stuff up. I mean, this is true. How many of you are Twilight fans out here? Yeah. In our class, we've been having a little bit of Twilight discussion, so I felt it necessary to bring up and find a fact about the beloved Robert Pattinson. Until he turned 12, Robert Pattinson's elder sisters dressed him up as a girl and introduced him as Claudia to strangers. Again, you can't make this stuff up. Up next, we have an 8th grader. This is her 7th year at Montverde Academy. She is a part of the National Junior Honor Society, varsity softball team, and the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Her favorite class is history, and a fun fact about her is that she loves sunsets. Bailey Bates.
small boat during World War II. A Japanese torpedo hits your boat. Your injured crewmen are drowning. You see a floating piece of debris, but could easily use it to save yourself. What would you do? I bet many of you would just jump off the boat and use it to save yourself. But on August 2nd, 1943, this same incident happened to Lieutenant John F. Kennedy, who jumped off his boat to save all of his crew. 18 years later, this war hero was elected our 35th president. But sadly, on November 25th, 1963, this war hero and this admired president was laid to rest at Arlington Cemetery along the Potomac River. Arlington Cemetery. This is probably one of the most historical and one of the most important landmarks today in America. It represents patriotism, dedication, and sacrifice. People like astronauts, presidents, war heroes, and other people who have honorably served our country, such as John F. Kennedy, are buried here. This cemetery isn't just important for the way it looks, or important for its history, but it is important because it recognizes the people that died for us, and the people that continue to fight for us each and every day. The U.S. purchased the land of Arlington in 1861 from the Robert E. Lee family. The cemetery first began in the Civil War, and today, over 400,000 soldiers lay at rest, and over 4 million mourners come to pay their respects each and every year. Funerals in Arlington are conducted on a daily basis, and during each one, a bugler will honor the soldier with a melody called taps. Taps is an elegant, yet haunting tribute to all the soldiers. It symbolizes their end of their days, but it also symbolizes their sacrifice. One of the most touching and one of the most memorable things in Arlington is the changing of the guard ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Here, 3 guards stay on duty through the rain, the snow, and the heat to protect the honor and to demonstrate the sacrifice of the soldiers that were lost at war and those who could never be found. At Arlington, there is an everlasting flame that lies upon John F. Kennedy's grave. This flame will forever continue to burn, but it will never die out. This is how the soldiers at Arlington are seen. They may no longer be physically with us, but their inspiration and their dedication towards our country will forever continue to impact us. Recently, I visited Arlington myself. In going here, I realized we need to give these soldiers the respect and the honor that they deserve. It brings tears to my eyes, thinking that these people, they've died for us. And after seeing this, I was inspired to reach my aspirations of attending West Point and becoming a military lawyer. At Arlington Cemetery, at the end of each and every day, the American flag will come to rest. We will then look upon the heavens and we will remember the fallen soldier. Together, we will listen to the melody taps be played one last time. And as I close today, I challenge you to pay your respects to this historic landmark. And remember that Arlington doesn't just represent the past, but it represents the past, the present, and the future of America. I'd like to leave you all today with a quote that is etched in stone at Arlington, written by John F. Kennedy. And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask, what can you do for your country? My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America can do for you, but ask what together we can do for the freedom of our men. Thank you.
Thank you, Bailey. Some more fun facts. Did you know that there is more real lemon juice in Lemon Pledge furniture polish than in Country Time lemonade? It's gross. Did you know that there is a superhero called Normal Man? And in his world, he is the only person without superpowers on a planet full of superheroes. My last one is probably one of my favorites that I found. In 2011, sorry, it's just too funny. In 2011, a woman bought an invisible piece of art for $10,000. It is named Fresh Air. Come on. All right. Our next speaker is a 7th grader. This is his 7th year at Montverde Academy, and he is a part of the National Junior Honor Society. His favorite class is math, and when I asked him about his fun fact, and this is funny, he couldn't think of anything at first. And I said, Matt, I said, if you could be any superhero in the world, who would it be? And he went, ooh, Spider-Man. Just goes to show Matt Karen's personality. And one last thing, he wanted me to say this, because it's pretty funny and interesting. Matt was totally comfortable saying that he has a pair of webbed feet on both of his feet. And yeah, I was surprised by that. And then he is, he said that the doctors are still looking for the ducks on the family tree. Without further ado, Matt Karen.
Could you imagine living in one of the world's most highly guarded prisons? Some people can, because they've had to do it themselves. Whether it's its infamous inmates or its many attempted escapes, I think Alcatraz is the worst prison of its time. Not only is it important to this country, but to the whole world. And it all started in 1850. The U.S. Army thought that San Francisco needed to be protected, so they built a fortress on Alcatraz Island. In 1868, they realized that it was never needed, so they decided to turn it into a military prison. In 1909, the U.S. government realized that it was no longer necessary to have it as a military fort, so they decided to turn it into a federal prison. Fun fact, the prisoners of the military prison actually built the prison themselves. Could you guys do that? But the construction didn't finish until 1912. But Alcatraz didn't actually open until August 11th, 1963. And Alcatraz closed on March 21st, 1963. At all times, Alcatraz had in between 50 and 150 staff members. Fun fact, sometimes the staff's families would live, stay, and sleep on the island. Originally, when it was built, Alcatraz had 348 stairwell cells, but then 12 were removed because stairways were built. In Alcatraz, there were 4 blocks of cells: the A block, the B block, the C block, and the D block. The B and C block cells were used less often and were used more often, but they were smaller. Each cell was 5 feet by 9 feet with 7-foot-high ceilings. But the A and D block cells were a little different. These were used rarely, except for segregation, but these were bigger. These cells were bigger because when they were used, because the people that stayed in them had to stay in the cells 24 hours a day, except for their weekly visits. After 28 years of serving, no one has successfully escaped Alcatraz and lived. But over the years, people have tried. 36 men have made 14 attempted escapes. Of those, 23 were caught, 6 were shot and killed, 2 drowned, and the other 5 went missing and were assumed dead because they found prisoner uniforms at the bottom of the water. Some of the famous inmates include Al Capone, Robert Stroud, George Kelly, Bumpy Johnson, Rafael Miranda, Mickey Cohen, James Bulger, Arthur Barker, and Alvin Karpus. Al Capone was sent because he was a gangster and mobster. Stroud was sent because he brutally murdered a bartender. And George Kelly was a bank robber, kidnapper, and bootlegger. What I'm trying to say is most people went here because they took part in large-scale crimes. Being the top of something might mean it's the best of something, or being the lowest of something might mean that it's the worst. In this case, it means that Alcatraz was the most severe. This prison is said to be escape-proof. Not only is this prison protected by walls, but by shark-infested waters. It is important today because it reflects our past and who we were back then and how we've changed today. And it is considered a national landmark as part of the San Francisco Bay Area that receives 1.5 million visitors every year. Alcatraz closed because the cost of shipping and maintaining food, water, and other materials became too expensive. This prison, there are myths that this is a haunted prison. During tours, people say that they see haunted things throughout the cells and throughout the hallways. And it all started in the 1450s. When the Spaniards first came and explored San Francisco, they apparently saw the island changing shape. It is said that one prisoner screamed all night that a glowing-eyed creature was trying to kill him, and the next day, they found him strangled to death in his cell. But that day at roll call, they counted one extra prisoner at roll call. Was there really a dead among the living? After learning about the history, the inmates, and the attempted escapes, Alcatraz is definitely a place I'd like to learn about and tour myself. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to follow up with Mr. Foley's Did You Know? Did you know that the longest Monopoly game in history lasted 70 straight days? Now you know why we never played that game in enrichment in my room. And last but not least, we were having a very detailed conversation yesterday about fishing. We had some of the gentlemen in my room. Did you know that you can use gummy worms as legit fishing bait? Have to let me know how it goes. Our next speaker is a 6th grader. This is her 9th year at Montverde Academy, and she is part of Builders Club, theater, choir, piano, and dance. Her favorite class is writing, and a fun fact about her is that when she was 2, she colored all over her parents' carpet with paint and markers. I'm proud to call to the podium Aaliyah Rodriguez.
Proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. These are the words inscribed on the Liberty Bell. Have you ever seen the Liberty Bell? If not, let me encourage you to experience it at the Independence National Historical Park in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Liberty Bell, formerly known as the State House Bell or Province Bell, is 3 feet tall and 2,080 pounds. It definitely takes a lot of strength to pick it up. Do you wonder how the Liberty Bell cracked? It cracked on the very first test ring. The size of the crack is 24.5 inches long, and the width is 1/2 of an inch. The circumference around the lip is 12 feet. Those are the basic facts. Now let's really get some information on the Liberty Bell. The Liberty Bell is 70% copper, 25% tin, and has trace amounts of lead, arsenic, gold, and silver. The wood in the yoke of the bell is American elm. These are the physical characteristics of the one and only Liberty Bell. Here is the history of the landmark. The landmark was built to honor William Penn's 1701 Charter of Privileges, which was Pennsylvania's original constitution. This included the people's rights and freedom. It is said the Liberty Bell first rang on July 8, 1776, when the Declaration of Independence was first read to the citizens of Philadelphia. In 1752, the Liberty Bell was cast by Thomas Lester in the Whitechapel Bell Foundry in London, England. It was recast in 1753, and then sent to the United States of America, where a replica was created from the Justice Bell in Delaware. In 1777, the Liberty Bell was taken to Allentown, Pennsylvania, under security and hidden in a church. The people were afraid the British would steal and melt the bell to make cannons. After a year, the Liberty Bell was taken back to its original home, Philadelphia. The Liberty Bell did a lot of traveling, a world tour of the U.S. Who knew a bell could do so much? I have a deep connection with the Liberty Bell, and so does everyone in America. Both sets of my grandparents were born in Puerto Rico. My grandparents were very poor and struggled to come to America. After many years of hard work, they were able to overcome their struggles. Fortunately, in America, we have the freedom, as my grandparents did, to have the opportunity to work, express ourselves, and overcome struggles. This is exactly what the Liberty Bell symbolizes. The Liberty Bell symbolizes freedom, independence, and sacrifice. I had the honor of visiting Independence Hall and seeing the Liberty Bell. When you look at it, you realize how important it is and what it truly symbolizes, not just for us, but for the families of people who have lost their lives and the people today who continue to fight for our freedom and our beliefs. Perhaps the crack symbolizes that as a nation, we can never be whole because of the lives that were lost for our freedom. This is exactly why I chose the Liberty Bell, because it is this symbol that makes it possible for me to be free, to voice my opinion, and most importantly, to share with everyone as one. In conclusion, even though some may believe the Liberty Bell is just a piece of metal, it is a symbol of independence and inspiration to those who continue to fight for our rights and our freedom. It will continue to have an impact on who we are as a nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaliyah. So most of you know I usually have M&Ms in my room, so I found some fun facts about M&Ms to share. M&M stands for Mars and Murray's. Who knew? They're actually the last names of the founders who created the candy. Also, to burn off one of those M&Ms that we eat, you would have to walk the entire length of a football field. So when we take a handful, I'll have to remember that next time for my classroom. Our next speaker is a 6th grade student. This is her 4th year at Montverde Academy. She is part of student government, builders club, theater, film club, middle school track, middle school soccer, and theater. Her favorite class is science, and a fun fact about her is that she knows every single word to the song Thrift Shop by Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. I'm proud to present Bella Kreider.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. This quote from Ronald Reagan was said not even 30 years ago at the Brandenburg Gate on June 12, 1987. Some of you may even remember this occasion when our president stood up to the Germans and demanded they tore down the terrible Berlin Wall. The Berlin Wall, or the Iron Curtain, was a strip of concrete that was built to divide democratic West Berlin from communist East Berlin. The wall was built after World War II when America, Great Britain, and the Soviet Union fought together against Hitler's Germany. Only when the democratic armies captured the west side of Berlin while the Soviet Union controlled the east side of Berlin did a line form. Although the communist Soviet side sat entirely in East Berlin, the American, French, and British forces controlled West Berlin. That part of the city was democratic, free, and accessible, while East Berlin was communist and had a harsh and strict way of governing. In a communist society, you have no free choices. The government makes all of your decisions for you, and you must do what they say. Even though the east side had a harsh way of governing, before the wall, people from either side of Berlin moved freely to go to the movies, go to work, or see a friend living on the other side. But East Berlin was beginning to realize that people were escaping them to go to the free west side. And East Berlin was losing their doctors, teachers, or just regular factory workers that keep them running. So the East German government decided to build a wall to stop them from escaping. And overnight, people were separated from their families, friends, and their jobs.
causing a wave of sadness to fall upon the country. Imagine if you had a parent that worked overnight shifts in East Berlin that you wouldn't be able to see again for several decades until the wall was torn down. The worst part about it was that in East Berlin, you weren't allowed to phone to call your family, so you wouldn't even be able to know if they were alive on the other side until the wall was torn down. For a wall that caused such a huge impact on a country, in the beginning, it wasn't really that impressive. The wall was just a barbed wire fence with some simple concrete walls in some places, but eventually, the wall got bigger, and it was built up to be a 12-foot tall, 4-foot wide mass of reinforced concrete with an enormous pipe on top that made climbing over it nearly impossible. Behind the wall, there was a section that was called the death strip, because it was a strip of soft sand to track footprints, floodlights, vicious dogs, as well as tripwire machine guns and patrolling soldiers that were ordered to shoot on sight. With all this protection, the massive flow of East German refugees stopped, but the wall didn't stop people from trying to escape. In the town that the wall was standing, about 5,000 citizens escaped by climbing over the barbed wire, flying in hot air balloons, crawling through sewers, jumping out of the windows of buildings next to the wall, or driving cars straight through the wall. Some of the struggle was in vain for some people. In their efforts to escape East Berlin, an estimated 171 people died trying to go over, under, or above the wall. After about 28 years of separation, however, Eastern Europeans had become tired of communist and Soviet government that controlled their lives. And in May 1989, a new reform government in communist Hungary opened its border to Austria. Through the spring and summer, tens of thousands of East Germans rushed to vacation in Hungary as an escape path to the west. And a chink in the Iron Curtain soon became a gaping hole. With new confidence and courage, East Germans staged rallies against the government, and on November 9, 1989, East German leaders took a risk that offering a little freedom would stop them from escaping in the massive amounts that they had been. And at 6:50 that evening, a government official read a statement to the press. "They've made it a regulation," he said. "East Germans could travel to the west without restrictions." Now, think about all the separated families and friends and how happy they would have been. The now free citizens of Berlin greeted each other with food and smiles, with the joy that they had been reunited. There were parties everywhere filled with ecstatic people finally getting to see their friends and family again. And the next morning, they began to tear down the wall themselves. People took whatever they had, sledgehammers, pickaxes, and more, and tore down the wall. As for the government, West and East Germany reunited and formed a democratic society. And in 1991, the bankrupt Soviet Union collapsed. If you visit Germany today, you may still be able to see some leftover parts of the wall, or maybe you can see parts of it in a museum. But when you do, remember all the pain and sadness the people of Germany endured, and remember the joyful sounds of cheers as they tore down the wall. Because after all of this, es gibt nur ein Berlin. There is only one Berlin. Thank you.
Thank you, Bella. And one of the students who is awake, please tell me what a palindrome is. Can't say. Yeah, it's a word that is the same spelled backwards. Instead of just a word, I have two phrases for you. The phrase, Satan sees Natasha, spelled backwards, is Satan sees Natasha. Great. Was it Elliot's toilet I saw? Spelled backwards was it Elliot's toilet I saw? Where's Joe Dobbs? Joe Dobbs here. Joe, can you stand up, please? In the classroom, we have an ongoing joke with Joe that he loves what? Bananas. Absolutely loves them. Could write essays about them. Could do research papers about them. Could literally talk about bananas all day. So I found this fun fact for Joe Dobbs. Did you know, Joe, that the first president of Zimbabwe was named President Banana? Well, now you know. Next up, we have an 8th grader. This is her 2nd year at Montverde Academy, and she is a part of the student government organization, Builders Club, the tennis team, as well as the theater. Her favorite class is math, and a fun fact about her is that she's a girl. I present to you Verena Shea.
What pops up into your mind when you hear this word, China? Fried rice? Pork egg roast? Boneless spare ribs? Or Panda Express? You're probably picturing various kinds of Chinese food. But have you ever thought about famous resorts in China? Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is a progress. Working together is a success. The Great Wall of China was originally built over 2,000 years ago. This 5,500 miles long wall was first built during the time when 7 powerful states built walls to defend themselves. However, the Empire Qing absorbed the other 6 states, and the leader, Qin Shi Huang, ordered to connect the walls to strengthen his authority. Controlling the east and the west, millions of people died building the Great Wall. Putting all their hard works, those people didn't waste their lives. The Great Wall of China then became one of the 7 wonders of the world. 不到长城非好汉. This is one of the most famous quotes in the history of China, which means, he who never climbed the Great Wall cannot be deemed a man. Please raise your hand if you have been to the Great Wall of China. Interesting. Thank you. I am truly a great man that I've been there 3 times. I had my first experience on the Great Wall at the age of 6. All I can remember is I only climbed a little section of the wall with my legs sore. The next day, I got a fever. I swore that I would never go climbing again. However, when I turned into 10, my parents brought me there again. Forcing by my parents, I was upset and furious. I then started climbing from Badali, one of the most famous sections of the Great Wall, which stretched about 7.5 miles long. I stopped for several times during the climbing, and I even had the thought of giving up. But then, I suddenly realized, the further I climb, the fewer people it has, the better view I get. Standing on the Great Wall, I had a breathtaking view of Beijing. Smiling with relief, I started wondering why my parents wanted me to have a second experience. I told my parents I wanted to go at the age of 13. Starting all over again from the same section, I felt relieved and delighted. I started thinking about many things when I was standing on the Great Wall. While I was continuing my journey, I paid more attention to the structure and history of the Great Wall. Jason Lester, a disabled athlete from Hawaii, is the first person who completed the Great Wall, spending 83 days running 5,500 miles. The Great Wall of China is a symbol of greatness and courage. It impacted the Chinese people over time, and also the people from all over the world. It keeps reminding us to climb further and higher. Never give up. Never ever give up. Why? Because just when you're about to give up is when things are going to turn around in a great way. Hold on. Great things are waiting for you around the corner. I was truly inspired and impacted by my experiences on the Great Wall. I learned the history, I learned to insist, and I learned to try hard. 中国, China. Now, what pops up into your mind when you hear this word? Are you still thinking fried rice, pork egg roast, or boneless spare ribs? I think now you have a better view of how this essential landmark impacted me and the others. And remember, never give up. Thank you.
Okay, if your birthday's in November, stand up. So, and I'll stand with you. Significantly, more serial killers are born in November than any other month. I'm standing with you, November 28th. Okay, go ahead, next. Here's another fun fact. Army ants are used as natural sutures. Their jaws are so powerful that natives would staple their wounds by forcing the ants to bite them and then breaking off their body. Ugh. Yeah, crazy. Our next speaker is a 6th grader. This is his 7th year at Montverde Academy, and he is part of the Student Government Association and tennis. His favorite class is math, and a fun fact about him is that he loves to climb mountains. He has summited the following mountains in Vermont: Sterling Mountain, Madonna Mountain, Camel's Hump, and Mount Mansfield. I'm proud to introduce Andrew Megler.
It was May 1945. Thousands of pieces of art, stolen and hidden by the Nazis, was found in the Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany. Neuschwanstein's fame for holding some of the most famous paintings and sculptures by artists such as Michelangelo and Picasso is one of the dark sides of this amazing landmark. Towering at 213 feet tall, on top of a mountain that is over 2,500 feet elevation, this is a star attraction for Germany. Neuschwanstein's rich history includes insane kings, the Nazis, a record for possibly being the most famous castle in the world, and much, much more. How many of you have been to Disney World's Magic Kingdom? I know I have. Remember that huge castle you see in the middle? Well, that castle was based off the idea of Neuschwanstein. I went to the town of Neuschwanstein this past summer, and it was truly fantastic. Every single thing was precise. They had inventions in both castles, such as humidifiers, air conditioning, amazing woodwork, and even ceilings that changed scenery depending on the time of day. They had fantastic structures, such as a huge wall with decorations that appeared possibly every single inch, balconies with stunning views, and state-of-the-art bridges. At that moment, I realized it was probably the most fantastic place I had ever seen in my life. Now let's talk a little bit about the history. The man who built it was named King Ludwig II. He was partially insane and went full-scale in his castle. It is known as possibly the finest and most incredible castle ever built. Just as an example, King Ludwig II was King of Bavaria from 1864 to 1886. Now don't get confused and think that King lived his whole life in the castle because, well, he didn't. He spent 11 nights in it. Yep, 11 nights. Since the king's death, 50 million people have visited this castle. That's incredible. When my family went there, there were at least 1,000 people at any given time. Anyways, at the age of 18, he took the throne without any experience whatsoever. Unfortunately, shortly after he became king, the state of Prussia took over Austria and Bavaria. And at the age of 38, King Ludwig was considered insane and soon after mysteriously died in a lake. Now, let's know the part that makes Neuschwanstein stand out from all the other castles. During World War II, art was hidden by the Nazis in this castle. The Allied forces realized that art was being stolen and they needed to get it back. This is where the movie Monument Men comes in. Unlike the movie, 400 people joined to apprehend the art and bring it back to their original places. One day, they go to an abandoned German mine and find hundreds of pieces of art. They considered this a great find, but they went one floor deeper and found thousands of pounds of gold. Now, when people found the gold, they could care less about the art. It's sad, but wouldn't you care more about gold than art? Of course you would. However, they find a map. Guess what that map shows? A list of where art is hidden. And right at the top, Neuschwanstein Castle. They go there and don't find 10, or dozens, or hundreds, but over 6,000, yes, 6,000 sculptures and art that Hitler hid away. This was a fantastic find from the Monuments Men, and they were extremely excited. There were rows and rows of sculptures and art, and it was one of the first finds that had no burnt or destroyed art. Now, this castle is called Neuschwanstein, or New Swan Stone. It actually was called, get ready, Hohenschwangau before. The other castle was called Schwanstein, meaning swanstone. When the king died, the name switched. Neuschwanstein is actually a style called Romanesque or Castle Romanticism. I can definitely see why they considered it this design. Just to let you know, the Neuschwanstein Castle was made for one person, not even his servants, just King Ludwig II. I guess you can kind of tell why I said he was insane. And since it was just for him, he could do whatever he wanted to do with it. And let me just say, he made every inch perfect. Well, it is the most photographed landmark in Germany, so you can kind of tell that it is famous. And in 2012, that's just 3 years ago, the castle appeared on the €2 commemorative coin. Now, the one single reason you should visit this castle, is the most decorated, amazing, and famous castle on Earth. And in my opinion, Neuschwanstein is, without a doubt, the most fantastic castle built, and I will remember it forever. Thank you.
Mrs. Desjardins started talking about some animal fun facts, so I have a few to add to that. Did you know that according to scientific studies, a rat's performance in a maze can be improved by playing music written by Mozart? True story. Did you know that ostriches can run faster than horses, and the males can roar like lions? Yeah. My last one is, did you know that male kangaroos are known to flex their biceps to impress female kangaroos? What's up, my ladies? Our next speaker is a 7th grader. This is her 2nd year at Montverde Academy, and she is a member of Builders Club, the varsity swim team, and the strings ensemble in enrichment here at the middle school. Her favorite class is science, and a fun fact about her is that she has a pet snake named Cleopatra. I now present Kendall Lewin.
It's loud. The Everglades, the Grand Canyon, the Redwood Forest, these are all very amazing places. But I think that there's one national park that stands out from all the rest, and that's Yosemite. Yosemite National Park was one of the first national parks ever established in 1890, following shortly after Yellowstone, and it has a very diverse landscape. Vertical rock faces, towering waterfalls, and giant trees can all be found within the park, but the best of all is amazing hiking. I think that is the most beautiful park in the entire country and is definitely worth visiting. Half Dome and El Capitan are two famous sites within the park. Half Dome is 8,839 feet in elevation and is arguably one of the most well-known sites within the park. It's basically this smooth, rounded mountain, but the catch is about half of it is gone, giving it the unique appearance that someone simply cut it with a knife. El Capitan is 7,573 feet in elevation and is the largest granite face in the world. Its ascent is also considered the toughest climb in the world. Both of these incredible rock formations were created by glaciers that used to rule Yosemite Valley. I think that Half Dome and El Capitan truly are the faces of Yosemite. Yosemite Falls is another famous site within the park. It's actually the tallest waterfall in North America, with a staggering height of 2,425 feet. I didn't get to hike to this waterfall, which is kind of sad because I viewed it from some observation areas and it was really beautiful. Mariposa Grove is another famous tourist attraction within the park. It's home to 500 giant sequoias. In case you didn't know, these majestic trees are the largest and oldest living organisms currently on the planet. They're about 200 feet tall and 25 feet in diameter, which is big enough to drive a car through them. And they do have 1 or 2 trees hollowed out so that you can walk through, which I got to do, and it was really amazing. Both these unique sites are just within the park boundaries. I think that the hiking is the best part of Yosemite. One hike that my family did twice was the Sentinel Dome hike, which had a 360-degree view of the entire valley, as well as Half Dome, El Capitan, and Yosemite Falls, and it gave you this amazing feeling like you were on top of the world. We also did hikes to Bridalveil Falls, which was gorgeous, and hiking in Mariposa Grove, which was interesting because my parents read the map wrong and we ended up hiking a mile or 2 extra. I also did hikes to Glacier Point, which is a famous scenic area within the park. I think that hiking is very satisfactory and one day aspire to do some more extreme ones, like the Half Dome Cables, which is a partial climb up the eastern side of the dome. Overall, I think that Yosemite is the most beautiful and diverse national park in the country. Half Dome, El Capitan, and Yosemite Falls are just some reasons why it's so special to me. The hiking is what really completes the experience. 3 million people visit this park each year. Why don't you? If you're going to California, visiting Yosemite National Park should certainly be a top priority. Thank you.
Thank you, Kendall. We have one more speaker today, but before we do that, I have 3 more fun facts. How many of you are video game enthusiasts? Oh boy. Okay. Did you know that there is a video game called Lose-Lose with real-life consequences? And what happens is it will delete a random file on your computer every time you kill an enemy. So, that doesn't mean that you should kill your enemy on the video game and then just have all of your homework deleted. Okay? So, don't get any ideas, people. Did you know that the Apple co-founder, Ronald Wayne, not Steve Jobs, Ronald Wayne, sold his 10% share in 1976 for $800? Take a guess at how much it's worth now. $60 billion. $60 billion. Dude lost out. And the last one is right in our backyard. Did you know that a teenager managed to pose as a doctor at a hospital in Florida for at least 1 month until he was reported by a patient? Don't get any ideas. That's pretty impressive. Our final speaker of this morning is an 8th grader. This is her 4th year at Montverde Academy. She is a part of Student Government Association, National Junior Honor Society, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the Junior International Thespian Society, Builders Club, and middle school volleyball. Her favorite class is history, and a fun fact about her is that if she could be in any movie with any actor/character, it would be Chris Hemsworth playing Thor and Chris Evans playing Captain America. I now present Emma Craig.
More than 164,000 people come out to see the Kentucky Derby each year and spend a total of $187 million. Even though so many people come out to see it and spend so much money, I don't think we recognize how hard these thoroughbreds work. So that is why I believe Thoroughbred Park is such an important landmark. Picture yourself inside of their position. You wake up at 3:30 in the morning and you go straight to the track for a workout. While you're galloping as fast as you can, you're being yelled and whipped at to work harder. The thoroughbred doesn't have a choice. We work them for our pleasure. And that's why I want everyone to recognize these amazing animals. And Thoroughbred Park does just that. Lexington, Kentucky is home of Thoroughbred Park and the home of my family. Kentucky is known for their cars, their bourbon, their rolling hills, but what's really unique is their thoroughbred racing. Kentucky is perfect for horses. The hills make it easy to graze, and the limestone soil is rich in nutrients that helps the horse be the great racer that it is. Now there are 450 thoroughbred farms in Kentucky, and these horses are not cheap. The most expensive horse sold was Fusacci Pegasus, and it sold for $70 million. Yeah. Kentucky was designed for horses, but not all Kentucky looks like what you may think. In Lexington, Kentucky, not all of it is green pastures and white picketed fences. It's actually a big city with tall buildings, bright lights, and sports stadiums, home of the Wildcats. When you're driving through Lexington, Kentucky, you might forget about Kentucky's love for horses. And that is why Thoroughbred Park is smack dab in the middle, to remind people what Kentucky is all about. When you come to Thoroughbred Park, there are 5 major areas: the Knoll, Lexington Grove, the Meadow, the Track, and the Winner's Circle. Each part symbolizes something different. The Knoll recognizes all the racing all-stars, both human and animal. Lexington Grove is dedicated to one of the best thoroughbred racers, Lexington. It actually has a life-size statue of Lexington. The Meadow symbolizes all the pastures in Kentucky. It's covered in bright green grass where statues of baby horses are frolicking around. Now we get to the Track, which really shows the excitement that happens in a race. There are 7 life-size bronze statues of thoroughbreds and their jockeys. Finally, we're at the Winner's Circle, which truly showcases a classic photo finish, where 2 horses are neck and neck, and you get to decide who you think should win. I personally think it's the one closest to the water fountain, but my dad completely disagrees. I guess you will just have to see for yourself. Gwen Reardon was a sculptor, and because of her, you can see every single flexed vein and muscle on the horses. She has always been fascinated by horses and thought it was a huge honor to get to sculpt for Thoroughbred Park. My parents and grandparents both grew up in Kentucky. My grandfather was a smart, kind man. He recently passed away after a 4-year battle of esophageal cancer. He was strong and lasted way longer than any other doctor expected. His spirit and will always reminded me of horses. Plus, he loved and respected them too. He actually bought us a thoroughbred in order to convince us to move up to Kentucky. My grandfather loved Thoroughbred Park and everything that it stands for. Whenever I visit there, I feel like he's still here. I remember him saying that he had seen many horse statues and parks in his lifetime, but Thoroughbred Park was one of the best representations of Kentucky horse racing that he had ever seen. In the end, Kentucky is my home away from home, and home to those wonderful thoroughbreds. I feel like we don't only have to recognize how hard humans work, we can recognize animals too, especially since thoroughbreds work hard each year for us. So the next time you're just driving through Lexington, Kentucky, stop by Thoroughbred Park. And you don't have to be a horse lover, just to respect and honor them. Sharon Rouse Lemon once said, "The essential joy of being with horses is that it brings us in contact with the rare elements of grace, beauty, spirit, and fire." Thank you.
Let's give all our speakers a great round of applause. At this time, we would like to dismiss the judges from the auditorium to discuss the first, second, and third place contestants. Absolutely. I just don't have my fun fact sheet. Rats. Okay. So, hey. So spring break, right? That'll be a lot of fun. Oh, they're gone. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. David. Everybody give Mrs. David a round of applause. Folks, while the judges are out, we wanted to talk to you about some things with some fun facts and statistics about public speaking. Did you know that according to a popular survey, the fear of public speaking tops the greatest fears that trouble people? In fact, this fear comes ahead of people's fears of death, spiders, heights, and confined spaces. This just shows that people feel public speaking is a greater torture than any of these, including death itself. This fear of public speaking is referred to as glossophobia.
Just a little bit. William Henry Harrison is credited for giving the longest speech at an inaugural ceremony. Are you ready for how long it lasted? It was 8,445 words, which exposed him to cold and damp temperatures for so long, he died a month later. But he was sorry he wrote that many words. George Washington, on the other hand, he didn't stress his vocal cords giving his inaugural speech. It was only 135 words long. The very longest speech that's on record stands since 1828, and if you think that you sat a long time today, that speech lasted 6 hours in the same seat, not moving. Just imagine. 3 out of every 4 people have speech anxiety, and this causes them suffering and troubles when they deliver their public speeches. So 3 out of every 4.
At any given, sorry guys, I forget. explain how loud my voice is.
Sorry, Miss Daisy's so much different than you on the vocal scale, so.
Hi, that's all. That's my bad. Oh, see, now it's down.
Please, can you hear me?
At any given time, 5% of the world's population aged between 5 and 50 suffer from the fear of speaking in the open to others. The point of all of these horrifying facts is that each student in this classroom is given a speech. They overcame whatever fears they might have had about public speaking. And those speeches that you just watched today have clearly shown that our future generations have the power and ability to overcome their fears. No matter what issues might come your way, students, you will grow and mature into amazing adults, and that is something to be quite proud of. It's not an easy thing speaking in front of people. Sometimes teachers have the ability to make it look easy. For me personally, I could do this all day. I don't know why. Ever since I was a kid, my mom told me that when I was about 3 years old, we were at a Christmas party, and I immediately just went right up to Santa Claus's lap, and I just sat there, and I was just singing and enjoying the stage. So that's just where I'm at. I'm comfortable here. But I shared something with my 7th and 8th grade students that explained and showed that I actually have a fear myself when it comes to speaking in front of people. I am totally comfortable speaking in front of a group this big. But when it comes to 3 people with pairs of eyes, I crumble. I absolutely fall apart. If I had a class of 3 students, I would literally just mumble and stutter the entire time, go, grammar, hallmarks, there on board, subjects. It's just where I'm at. I push myself to overcome these obstacles as much as I can, but it's really not easy. And the point that I'm making with that is that every person in this world is going to have to present at some point or another, whether you want to or not. It is expected of us as a community and society to be able to speak, whether you like it. It's not a matter of liking it, it's a matter of overcoming these things. And if you can do that, then you will be successful. So, folks, I know that there are times where you hear speech contests and you grumble. You go, oh no, Mr. Foley, Mrs. Dixon, oh no. Can we please just go back to writing funny stories and things about bananas and whatnot? But ultimately, everything that you have learned shows that you are able to do these things. And you all did such an amazing job. So thank you for working so incredibly hard this quarter. We cannot say how proud enough we are of you. So thank you. Now, before the judges come back in, with my class, we like to do a little exercise called Betty Botter. Now, Betty Botter is it's a little obnoxious, it's a little loud, and because my voice has been a little hoarse this week and I've been struggling, I was going to invite 4 8th grade students who volunteered to go ahead and do this activity with you all. So if I could please have Izzy Moy, Justin Williams, Mackenzie Woodward, and Josh Taylor. While they're coming up, I'll just explain, okay? They're going to be up here and you're all going to stand up, okay? They're going to start and they're going to speak in their most ridiculous British accent ever. Now, I'm sorry to offend any of you from Britain. It is not meant to do that. It is meant to just exaggerate and practice our vocal skills. So, if you could all just stand up. Everybody ready? In your most ridiculous British accents ever, please repeat after these students.
Betty bought some butter. Betty bought some butter. What she said, this butter is bitter. What she said, this butter is bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. It will make my batter bitter. So she wants some better butter. So she wants some better butter. Better than the bitter butter. Better
announce the third place, second place, and first place winners of the speech contest, we would like to go ahead and commemorate and give an award to each speaker today. They all did a fine, excellent job, and we were very, very impressed with everything they did today. So we want to go ahead and give them a certificate. Noah Talonzi. Oh, sorry. Bailey Bates. Matthew Karen. Rodriguez. Bella Kreider. Marina Zhang. Andrew Megler. Kendall Lewin. And Emma Crappy. Are we ready? Are you sure? In third place, Marina Shea. In second place, Matthew Karen. And in third place, Emma Craig. job. Give them all a big round of applause.
Students, like Mr. Foley said, there will be some point in your life you're going to have to give a speech in front of a group, whether it's friends, family, or a large gathering. Hopefully what you experienced this morning by listening to these 9 people, some of them made me smile, some of them made me laugh, some of them made tears come out of my eyes, okay? Some of them made me think. These are the traits that you are learning when you have to make that presentation. How do I capture my audience? How do I make them smile? What do I say? How do I reach their emotions? How do I leave them with a message that they'll take for the rest of their life? By listening to people doing the things that these 9 students did this morning, these give you ideas. They may give you some keys when it's your turn to make that presentation. So you 9 students, thank you for giving us tools when we are to present in front of other people. Very good. Give a round of applause. Interesting facts. When I was a student, I was not one of those 9. I was one of those percentages that feared being in front of an audience. I could not do it. When I went to the University of Massachusetts and I was a sophomore, I was in a speech class. I had to present in front of 10 other classmates. My knees were doing this. My voice was cutting up and cutting down. There was sweat coming off my brow. I was embarrassed in front of my peers trying to give a speech. Something that I was comfortable with, information that I knew, but just being in front of those 10 people, somehow, some way, inside my body, my internal organs just let me down. My heart was racing, my body temperature went up. I was terrible. I was terrible. But with practice, with experience, and with opportunity, you do get better. Kentucky Derby. Kentucky Derby. Do you know how many horses have won the Kentucky Derby 2 or more times? We run the Kentucky Derby every year. Every year there is a Kentucky Derby. How many horses have won it more than once? You know?
I have no clue, but I can guess.
How many?
0.
Perfect answer. 0. Why? Because only 3-year-olds can run in the Kentucky Derby. So the horse is 3 years old only 1 time. You're a smart young lady. Wow, very good. Interesting. When we dismiss from here, we are going to the center of campus. You can socialize. You can play games. We'll bring out some of the soccer balls. We'll bring out the footballs, not a problem. We will not be on the brick patio area because there are some classes that are using the Gebauer Hall. Okay, they're in there. Okay, so we do not want to disturb them. When a parent comes or a guardian, you are welcome to go to the vehicle and you may exit. Obviously, you're going to have to go in the Conrad Lehman building first, gather your supplies, including your PE bags. They need to go home with you. And then we're off for the spring break. We do not come back until Tuesday until Tuesday. I believe the date is April 7th. Is that correct? Faculty members, we need you back on April 6th now. That Monday is a work day for us. But students, April 7th. We want you to enjoy. We want you to relax. We want you to recharge your batteries for the final lap once we come back for spring break to finish up that 4th grading period. Yes, it was a long haul to get through the 3rd grading period. Not only did you students feel the stress, but faculty and staff. It was a long haul for us, okay? So, take the spring break time to relax, rest, and recharge those batteries so you can come back and finish strong. Before we exit, judges, thank you so much for being here. Any words of wisdom to our audience about speeches?
Well, I think he said it all, but what is okay?
Learn how to tell stories that relate to people and resonate with them. I've been speaking for 17 years on the road, and the one thing that people want to get from you is a message and a story that relates to their lives. So learn how to tell stories. Congratulations to the team.
We will allow you to leave first, so you'll be able to get on out of here. Oh, pictures. Well, we won't allow them to leave first. We will keep them here. We'll allow them to come down the front here. Students, please stay out of the trees on campus. I don't want anybody going home with a broken arm and in a cast for the spring break. Don't need anybody falling out of the trees. Please stay out of the trees.